What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome back to my channel. Back with yet another schedule preview and record prediction video. And today we're going to be looking at the 2020 Boise State Broncos. Boise State's always the team that's on top of the Mountain West and consistently winning conference championships year after year. For as long as I can remember, they've always had a pretty good team and have won double-digit games in every season for the most part. At least Boise State's returning some great talent this year. Quarterback Hank Bachmeier is coming back. They are losing guys on the defensive end like Curtis Weaver, but one of, if not the best special teams players in all of America in Avery Williams. He is coming back. Great in the return game. A little bit of a liability on defense, though, but if he can step up on defense, Boise State definitely should watch out for and possibly has a shot to make a New Year's Six Bowl. So let's go ahead and see if Boise State is going to win yet another Mountain West Conference Championship and make it to a New Year's Six Bowl, or if Boise State is not going to win double-digit games like they have so many years in the past. All right, so here's the schedule for the Boise State Broncos. Got some interesting games on the schedule for which the talent level Boise State has. Could be a little difficult for them. A lot of teams on this schedule are improving this year. You look down there, their 2019 record was 12-2, so they went 11-1 in the regular season. Then they won the Mountain West Championship game against Hawaii, and then they went to go play Washington in the Las Vegas Bowl, and they got absolutely destroyed. I believe the final score was 38-7. It was an absolute demolish. I picked Boise State to win that game, and Washington really showed out in that game and ended up beating Boise State by 31 points. You look up there, their home games are going to be in blue and their away games are going to be in orange. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at Boise State's schedule. First game of the season should be an easy one for them. In week one, it's a home game against the Georgia Southern Gold Eagles. Should be a really easy one for Boise State. Just got way too much talent on the offensive side. Georgia Southern hasn't been able to compete with a lot of teams in the FBS in recent years, so Boise State should easily win that one. Then it's a road game against Air Force. This one is an interesting game because Air Force also has a pretty good quarterback in Donald Hammond. Again, very much a dual threat quarterback, especially with Air Force being the armed force team that passes the ball the most. Donald Hammond also can run the ball. This game is going to come down to quarterback play. I think if Donald Hammond can throw the ball more than he can run the ball and beat Hank Bachmeier in stats, maybe Air Force has a shot. It is a home game for the Falcons. I'm going to lean towards the Broncos in this one just because I feel like the Broncos have more talent on the defensive side, just an overall better defense than what the Falcons have over there at Air Force. Then it's a home game against Florida State. So Boise State played Florida State last year in Tallahassee, and no one expected them to win that game. I think I picked Boise State to win that game because I knew what Boise State was capable of and just wasn't that sure on Florida State last year. Florida State's overall got some good talent, bringing back their quarterback, James Blackman, and most notably, they were getting a new head coach in Mike Norvell over from Memphis. We all know what he did at Memphis. He was absolutely phenomenal, led Memphis to a New Year's Six Bowl last year. Great head coach. So maybe he can help give Florida State a little bit of a boost this year. This one's also going to be an interesting game for me. I could see this one going either way just because I feel like Florida State is going to get a lot better this year, but Boise State is just going to remain consistent. Boise State's a team that is always there and always really good. So I could see this game going either way. I think I'm going to slightly favor the Broncos just because the game is at home. Florida State definitely has the talent to win this game, though. That's a road game against Marshall. This one should also be easy. Marshall was good a couple years ago, and ever since then, just kind of fallen off. Boise State should not have a problem with the Thundering Herd. I like the Broncos in this one. That's a home game against the San Jose State Spartans, and again, shouldn't have a problem with this one. San Jose State, known to play big programs, and they have to play Boise State pretty much every year as they are in the Mountain West. I don't see this one being competitive at all either, like the Broncos in this one. Then they get their bye week. And in terms of scheduling, this is, again, it's an okay place for a bye week. If I was a Boise State fan, I'd like to have a week later. It splits your schedule in half, so you get 6 games. You get a rest, and you get to play 6 more games. And in my opinion, the first half of the schedule is tougher than the second half, or Their schedule before the bye week is tougher than their schedule after the bye week. But there are some pretty interesting games in the later half of the bye week, starting off with that game after the bye week against Utah State. So Utah State is a team that is losing Jordan Love, and I really don't know what to think about Jordan Love, or the loss to Jordan Love, excuse me, because Jordan Love was a fairly good quarterback, could make some Aaron Rodgers type plays, and now going to go be the backup to Aaron Rodgers. But he also threw in what I believe the most interceptions in FBS last year, which is not good. Utah State was a fairly okay team, and they were pretty good in 2018 as well. But Jordan Love was the head of that Utah State offense, which could score a lot of points if it needed to. So Utah State's going to be an interesting team this year. They got a lot of talent, so Utah State definitely could make this game interesting. But I'm going to lean towards the Broncos because it's on that blue turf field, and Boise State just does not like to lose on that blue turf field. So I'm going to give this one to the Broncos. I think if Utah State can replace their quarterback, though, they're going to be a pretty decent team and could give Boise State a run for their money. That's a road game against Hawaii. So this is going to be a rematch of the Mountain West Championship game last year. Hawaii ended up playing Boise State. It was fairly close for a little bit, but Boise State, as usual, just pulled away at the end. And this one is on the road to Hawaii. Now, Hawaii is losing quarterback Cole McDonald. He is in the NFL now, and lots of other weapons leaving for Hawaii. But Hawaii has always proven themselves to be a consistent 7-8 win team, and playing them on the road, although it's not the toughest of environment, it's not that easy. Also, I think Boise State should watch out for this game. It could be a trap game, but with the overall talent that Hawaii is losing and with the talent that Boise State is returning, I like the Broncos in this one. That's a home game against UNLV, and UNLV is just not that great. Boise State should easily be able to win this one as well. I like the Broncos over the Rebels. That's a home game against BYU. So BYU is an interesting team. They now are an FBS independent, and they're just an all-around pretty interesting team because you never know what BYU is going to do. They could be good. They could not be so good. They upset Wisconsin a couple of years ago. Didn't prove to have all that great of a season that year. Last year they had a fairly okay season as well. Again, nothing spectacular for BYU. Lots of great players there still at BYU, so maybe this game could be close for a quarter, but I see Boise State running away with this one in the end. It's on their home turf, and Broncos shouldn't have much of a problem with the Cougars. Then they get a road game against the New Mexico Lobos. Mexico's a team I expect to improve maybe just a little bit this year, but overall they just do not have the talent to match what Boise State brings up with them. Yes, it's a road game, but Boise State just got too much talent, way more talent than any other teams in the Mountain West. Boise State should easily win this one. Then it's a road game against Wyoming. So this is going to be an interesting game because Wyoming's got some fairly good athletes, and they're always a decent team. They are losing their best defensive player and best linebacker to the draft, so they're going to need to fill a spot for him. Overall, I think this game could come down to whichever team can pass the ball more. Both teams got pretty good running games that are unstoppable in their own regards. But the passing game, big question if Hank Bachmeier can perform like he did last year and maybe some more. Boise State shouldn't have a problem with this one, but if Wyoming's defense finds a way to replace the linebacker, it's in week 12, so they have a lot of time to do it before this game against Boise State. I could see this being a trap game for Boise State. I'm going to lean towards the Broncos, though, just because they got a lot of talent returning, and Wyoming's just got some holes to fill, especially on the defensive side. With the offense, Boise State is returning. It's not going to be that big of an issue for the Broncos. Then they get a home game against Colorado State. So Colorado State's got one of the better wide receivers in all of college football, but other than that, their quarterback is pretty okay. Part of the reason why that wide receiver is so great, and just overall, I think Colorado State's a team that's going to get better this year, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Of course, Boise State is losing Curtis Weaver, so maybe Colorado State can get their run game going. I believe their passing game is going to be good. It's going to come down to whichever quarterback can throw the ball better. And to me, Hank Bachmeier is way more equipped to throw the ball better than whatever Colorado State can throw at Boise State. So I'm going to give this one to the Broncos as well. All right, so now with everything being said and considered for the Boise State Broncos, I have them at 11-1. So I see them dropping a game in just somewhere in their schedule. They got a lot of pretty interesting games, and they got 3 games on the road, which I really could see them losing on the road to Air Force. Maybe that's their best chance to get upset on the road. Then on the road to Hawaii. Again, if Hawaii can replace Cole McDonald, maybe they can end up avenging their loss in the Mountain West Championship game. And then a loss is imminent, or possible, I should say, to Wyoming, because Wyoming's just got some great talent. But I also could see them slipping up to Florida State at home. This is going to be a much improved Florida State team. It's going to be a much better coached Florida State team, of course, with Mike Norvell back there. So I could see them dropping any one of those 4 games. More than likely, I think they'll drop the game either to Florida State or to Air Force or Wyoming. Wyoming's just got more time to prepare than Hawaii, but Hawaii maybe could give them a game. Overall, then, when you look at their home games, they got a lot of easy home games like Georgia Southern, San Jose State, UNLV. Utah State maybe could be interesting. We'll have to see what BYU does, and if Colorado State's wide receiver proves up to be way better than we all think, maybe they give them a shot. But overall, I just see Boise State slipping up either to Florida State or to a game on the road. So now let's move on to their record range, and you guys know this by now. Take this team's worst-case scenario along with their best-case scenario. It's where I expect them to be this year. 8-4 is my worst-case scenario for the Broncos. Hank Bachmeier does not show out, or they end up starting Chase Cord, and he just does not prove to be as good as Hank Bachmeier. I see Boise State going no worse than 8-4 and having what Boise State fans are going to consider a down year. 4 losses to me are the 4 tricky games I spoke about, would be to Air Force, Florida State, Hawaii, and Wyoming. Maybe Utah State can get them and they beat Hawaii, but I see absolute worst case scenario. Boise State drops to 8-4 and gets back to the Las Vegas Bowl, or a bowl game, I should say. Then on the opposite side of the spectrum, their best case scenario, and this is what some Boise State fans are used to, all right, 12-0. I could see them winning every game on the schedule. Again, the road games aren't terribly tricky, but could be if they don't prepare enough for them. That's Air Force, Hawaii. Wyoming, again, if they don't prepare enough for those games, they could end up losing one. And their home game is against Florida State, who I think is their toughest game this season, and they get them at home. So I could see Boise State winning all 12 of these games, especially if they can get past Florida State. You look at their schedule, no team really stands out to you as a really big threat to Boise State's schedule. And I think if Boise State goes 12-0, they're definitely going to be able to make the New Year's Six Bowl as the top group of 5 team, because the American Athletic is going to be competitive this year with UCF and Cincinnati, and Memphis might be good as well. Navy's also there. So if Boise State loses a game, which I have them losing a game, I feel like the American Athletic champion is going to go into the New Year's Six Bowl game. But if Boise State ends up going undefeated, which is my best case scenario for them, they definitely could make the New Year's Six Bowl game. So 12-0 is their best case scenario. But in my opinion, Boise State in 2020 is going to go 11-1. So there's my schedule preview and record prediction for the Boise State Broncos. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like. Also consider subscribing if you're brand new to the channel. Or just enjoy my content. If you haven't done so already, please do comment down below and tell me your thoughts on the Boise State Broncos. I really like this team this year, and I feel like they are destined to do some great things. And as always, until next time, remember, play hard but tailgate harder. I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye.